We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the premier show on disability. We have lined up activities that seek to create awareness in the communities. My name is Jane Theuri. Welcome. First up is the annual desert wheelchair that targets the nomadic community.
Climate change conversations are taking center stage, and persons with disabilities have not been left behind.
When climate change impacts are discussed, the people who are so much affected are not involved in the conversation. And these are the people from marginalized communities, from semi-arid and arid communities, and especially persons with disabilities. When we had drought for the last 5 years, the most affected people were persons with disabilities. Some of them were left in the house and they starved to death. But are they anywhere in these conversations? They are nowhere in these conversations.
For the climate change, ni kweli the most affected are the most vulnerable in our communities, na hao walemavu wako ndani. Juu kama ni shida ya maji, wamama walemavu wanaenda long routes kupata maji, and in the process wanaweza kutana na shida mingi like sexual based violence, wanaweza pigwa barabarani ama waliwe na wanyama.
On the matters of gender rule, the 2/3 gender rule, if you don't know in the constitution where it is, can you ask for someone, can you convince or challenge your leaders, the political leaders down there in the counties, why they have not considered you? Because you don't know whether even it's enshrined in the constitution or not. So the best tool for this is education. People should be educated on their roles and what the Constitution of Kenya says as far as matters to do with gender or PWDs.
In Marsabit, we gave a circular that when people do public participation, if people living with disability are not in that public participation, it's not going to be called a public participation. We are marginalized as people living with disability. And then when opportunity also come, we get also segregated based on gender. Okay? As in, okay, we are PWDs, but we still have men, women, and so the women are also being kind of not given their rights within that setup of people living with disabilities.
The conversation was spearheaded by the Northern Nomadic Disabled Persons Organization, NONDO, in Isiolo County.
We advocate for the rights, inclusion, and participation of persons with disabilities from nomadic and pastoralist communities. We work in 12 counties. We work in Mandera, Wajir, Garissa, Marsabit, Tana River, Samburu, Isiolo, West Pokot, Baringo, Kajiado, and Narok.
We are talking about mitigation. We are talking about what you can provide as a solution. How can you mitigate? This means how can you solve the issue that's at hand? And this adaptation means how you can live with, so that it doesn't affect your day-to-day life.
Climate change affects everybody, but it affects people living with disability more. Why? Because of what they mentioned, social economic barriers, discrimination, marginalization. The consequence of climate change, manajua, drought. It's nowadays not called drought, it's called climate-induced drought and food insecurity. Na manajua, drought inakuja na malnutrition, there's no food, people suffer the consequences of food insecurity. And who suffers most? It is people living with disability. In most of these counties, we have what's called resource-based conflict, but nowadays we call it climate-induced. Why are we calling climate-induced? We are calling climate-induced because there is no rain. What happens? The grasses are depleted by the number of livestock. It means all the natural resources are literally depleted. We scramble for water, we scramble for grasses.
A person with disability lives a very expensive life. They need assistive devices. They need so many other aspects. So why not them leading the climate change mitigation efforts?
In line with the theme on climate change, guests were treated to a beauty contest in the evening.
It is our first time to ingia fashion show. Number 3 ndio tumepata, so nashukuru. Next time, inshallah, if Allah say so, I think I can do it better than this one.
The purpose of the beauty pageant is to transcend conventional norms.
The Desert Fashion Gala actually is to highlight challenges faced by women with disabilities, is to create visibility of women with disabilities, create awareness around issues affecting women with disabilities, especially from pastoralist communities. Because women with disabilities from pastoralist communities are facing unique challenges. They have not been documented anywhere. And if we keep quiet, things will continue as usual and nobody will talk about them. So we decided that by bringing them together somewhere to celebrate, in a form of celebration, to attract other people also to join us in this conversation.
To sum up, the event was the Desert Wheel Race, where persons with disabilities showcased their capabilities on wheels.
The Desert Wheel Race is our annual flagship event, which is patented. Why we're doing it in Isiolo is because the story behind the Desert Wheel Race was born in Isiolo. One of the founders of the organization was involved in community clashes, where his community and other community clashed, and his 8 members of his family were left dead, and him was left with a spear in his back, in his spine, that left him disabled for many years, close to 50 years.
That young boy now is this old man in front of you. So from around 2012, we started now when devolution was just about to start. The media everywhere was awash with the discussion of some counties which are actually hot spots for clashes because of the new political dispensation, and Siolo was one of them. And since my story and the incident that affected me happened around Siolo, because you see, as pastoralist communities, we migrate from place to place. We have no boundaries, actually. So where I was hurt, where we came to for pasture, was around Kom, which is a place which is now Somalis, the Borana, the Samburu, the Rendile, all this. I understand Kom is somewhere where all these communities live. And up to now, Siolo is a melting pot for various communities. So we felt, let's start now talking about peace under this new this political dispensation, under devolved governance, and we have an annual wheelchair peace race.
There are 2 build-up activities. The conference that brings stakeholders together, policymakers, policy influencers, development agencies, persons with disabilities, to discuss matters which are priority to the nation and matters which are affecting persons with disabilities. Every year we have a theme for it, at different years. The first 3 years we were advocating for peace and unity, because the Desert Wheel Race was started on peace and unity because of the clashes. But in recent years, we have decided to change the theme because we have seen there's a lot of issues that are affecting persons with disabilities.
The adverse effect of climate change will put a burden on the resources like pasture and water, especially in the areas where the resources are already very scarce. And as a result of that scarcity, people will now fight over those resources and they will be injured.
The race emphasizes on the need for accessible and sustainable infrastructure.
Sasa mimi nabata ni bahati yangu, gari yangu nisumbua, natoka Jeni. Nisukuma mkono mpaka hapa nakuja.
Mimi nafurahia sana, nimeparticipate kwa wheelchair race. Nimekuwa number 2 na niko happy sana. Nataka tu kuambia wenye wako out there, disability is not inability. Unaweza try riziki yako na Mungu akupe in any way. Hujui ni na disability anaweza kimbia na anaweza win. Mimi nakimbianga na wheelchair. Race yote ya disability nakimbianga na wheelchair. Napenda mchezo sana. Juu kukimbia na hii kitu naenda unachoka. Unaona watu wamekupita, sometimes una lose hata hope na unajipea tena kwa katikati. Wacha nijaribu, naweza.
Nilikuwa nimefanya mazoezi for the past 1 month, lakini nimeanza 2013. This is my 10th edition. I'm feeling excited today and represent PWD wenzangu wa Isiolo County.
Nafurahi yangu kuwa mshindi, manake nawakilisha Turkana County pia. Na huwa nafanyanga mazoezi kila wakati.
The organizers hope for more support in creating awareness on disability in the nomadic communities who have for a long time been left behind.
Some people, by nature we are very mean. So when you get whatever that you are looking for, please don't be mean to others. Washike wengine mkono, ubebe na wewe uko juu.
Because you all know that disability slogan is nothing about us without us. So we must have our voice in this matter also, which affects us.
We take a short break, but we'll be right back with more. Don't go too far.